You're only really out to satisfy yourself, and for us, it's a reasonable amount. The key is persistence. If you go to a place one time and one thing happens and you don't catch anything else, you might have to second guess it, you know. But if you go to a place 4 times and there's persistent activity, like, you know, we've gone 4 times, we've caught 4 things. Octagon Hall in Kentucky is a great example. They experience a lot of ghost groups go there because they're a museum and they need funds, and this is a great way for them to raise funds. Ghost groups go there, rent the place for the night, and have great investigations there. They've had so many ghost hunters go to Octagon Hall that if you talk to the curator of the museum, he can identify the spirits by their voices now. You play him your EVPs and he'll go, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. Oh yeah, that's so-and-so. I mean, they get that much activity. They get that much EVPs, video, photos, everything. It's well worth the trip. The big story about Octagon Hall, though, is that back in the Civil War days, Confederate soldiers got tracked in that area, and they actually were befriending them, and they would hide them up in the attic. And they did this successfully for a very long time. Unfortunately, at least once, probably twice that they've been able to document, the soldiers lingered long enough that the wounded soldier died up there. And the other tragedy that happened there is that a young girl who worked with the slave side of the house was downstairs tending a fire for cooking, and a hot ember jumped out on her dress as she caught on fire, got 3rd-degree burns, and ended up passing away because of the burns in the house. So the most common activity there is the girl getting yelling for help or mommy or things of that sort associated with her burning, and the soldiers who are often crying out in pain and things like that, and a male servant who actually was sort of the believe it or not, helping the family hide the Confederate soldiers who lived there. So these were the 3 main spirits that we were looking for. A lot of times when you start capturing stuff and you've interacted with them, you'll notice it'll start to peak. You'll hit, suddenly stuff just starts going crazy, like just all around you. And this was that moment. We had been there shooting for about 5 hours, and then all of a sudden we started hearing voices talking in rooms, motion detectors that we had set up on a bed where supposedly the elderly black male, the slave, would go and lay on this bed. People had seen him there. We had set up motion detectors there in case anyone tried to lay down. It just started going off for no reason all of a sudden. And then other strange things. So I'm just going to play, this is a clip from Octagon Hall. This was the girl's room who burned. They kept it intact for her. You see the cameraman jump?
Did somebody just lay down on the bed? We're not setting it off because your camera was pointed at it with an IR light and everything else for this whole last hour, and it never went off. Heck, we didn't even know for sure it was working. See, if it was our camera setting off, it'd be doing it. I'm right in front of it now.
We were also catching EVPs at the exact same time. It was just like all of a sudden the paranormal door opened and everything started going nuts and haywire. I mean, they get so much activity reported that they can actually pick the voices out. They get the little girl so many times, they know this is Mary, the little girl Mary. They get this individual voice so many times. They've got to where they can recognize ghost voices. So it's more about satisfying your own criteria. And for us, it's always just been about being reasonable and persistent activity that's going on.